take a second for a second, if you don't mind.
The feeling of lost trust from Roquan Smith that the backloaded offer wasn't, fair with what he's done on the field.
Roquan Smith, so he tweeted a statement. He has been requesting a deal. He's playing on his last year of his rookie deal.
I gotta admit, man, the Chicago Bears are making a series of very intelligent decisions. I mean, I understand if Bears fans aren't necessarily the most excited because the trade for Roquan Smith didn't necessarily yield them the largest return, but they're definitely taking a step in the right direction to at least bolster their rebuild. And they just did that with another huge trade today. So before we get to the content, make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications so you can enter for a chance to win $100 that we announce at the end of every week. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Chicago Bears and Roquan Smith had a very interesting relationship over this past year. The Chicago Bears are clearly in the midst of a rebuild, and they are projected to have a tremendous amount of cap space at the end of this year, actually more than any other team. But over the offseason, despite all of this, they still refuse to pay their best defender, Roquan Smith. This caused a little bit of drama between Roquan Smith and the Chicago Bears because on one hand, Roquan Smith felt like he sacrificed so much for a team that was at one point a fringe contender, but for the most part were wasting the best years of his career. Now that he was the undisputed best player that the Chicago Bears had on the roster shortly after trading away Khalil Mack over this past offseason, you would think that the Chicago Bears would at least look at their best defender and say, hey, you know what? You have plenty of cap space. We're going to extend you because at the end of the day, even if they are going through a rebuild, you would like to keep a couple of your best players, especially on the defensive end. This resulted in Roquan Smith inevitably demanding a trade in a very heartfelt post, by the way, because back in August, Roquan Smith wrote this and posted it onto social media, saying, "To the city of Chicago and all the Bears fans worldwide, I have officially requested a trade. Just writing these words is deeply painful. I'm a kid from Macon County, Georgia. When you grow up playing football, you dream of making it to the NFL one day. However, playing the linebacker position, you never imagine getting drafted in the top 10 by the Chicago Bears. I'm a homegrown Bear. A dream came true for me to have the opportunity to put that Bears helmet on, wear the same jersey that the legendary linebackers did, and it's an indescribable feeling. Walking these hallways the past 4 years, you can feel the spirit. You feel the pressure to live up to that timeless history, that great legacy. I dreamed of playing like Wilbur Marshall, Mike Singletary, Lance Briggs, and Brian Urlacher, and Dick Butkus. Since the day I was drafted, I vowed to play this position at a level that upheld the standard that was set before me, to uphold that respect and honor, and I have. Unfortunately, the new front office regime doesn't value me here. They refuse to negotiate in good faith. Every step of this journey has been take it or leave it. The deal sent to me is one that would be bad for myself and for the entire linebacker market if I signed it. I've been trying to get something done that's fair since April, but their focus has been on trying to take advantage of me. I wanted to be a Bear for my entire career and help this team bring a Super Bowl back to our city. However, they have left me no choice other than to request a trade that allows me to play for an organization that truly values what I bring to the table. I haven't had the chance to talk to the McCaskey family, and maybe they can salvage this, but as of right now, I don't see a path back to the organization I truly love. I hope and pray that you can all understand. I'm deeply sorry that it's come to this. Sincerely, Roquan Smith. So after that, Roquan Smith played for the Chicago Bears, and to be honest, he performed fairly well, to the point where there were rumors that the Chicago Bears were not necessarily expected to trade Roquan Smith. But it seems like the Chicago Bears got an offer that they really couldn't refuse. Very shortly after trading Robert Quinn for a 4th round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, we got breaking news that the Chicago Bears are now trading Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens. This is kind of insane because when you look at Roquan Smith's statistics this year, he is currently leading the NFL in tackles. Over the last 5 seasons, only Bobby Wagner has more tackles than Roquan Smith. The man is still 25 years old, and the return that the Chicago Bears got for him is, I'm unsure. We're gonna have to decide this for ourselves. So according to Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, the Chicago Bears are trading Roquan Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for 2nd and 5th round picks. So in total, the Bears were able to get a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and a 5th round pick in return for Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. So for the Baltimore Ravens, man, they obviously get an A+ for this. Roquan Smith isn't necessarily a guy that you're just going to have for this season and then move on from. This is an individual that you could build your defense around for future seasons to come. And when you consider the fact that the Baltimore Ravens kind of run a very similar scheme as what the early 2010 San Francisco 49ers ran, which by the way was coached by John Harbaugh's brother Jim, and had the same exact offensive coordinator in Greg Roman, who both had mobile quarterbacks running their offenses in Colin Kaepernick and Lamar Jackson, there is a huge emphasis on making sure that you have a suffocating defense to support your power running scheme, which is what Greg Roman's offense often revolves around. So without a doubt, for the Baltimore Ravens, a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick for a bona fide superstar at the linebacker position is a no-brainer. You get an A+ automatically. For the Chicago Bears, it's a little different. The Chicago Bears have been selling talent for way less than what they deserve, at least in my opinion. They traded Khalil Mack for a 2022 2nd round pick and a 6th round pick in 2023. They traded Robert Quinn for a 4th round pick, and then they traded a player that you can make an argument still hasn't necessarily hit his prime yet for a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick. I would have at least liked to see a couple of 1st round picks in return for trading the heart and soul of your defense, at least in my opinion, which was a fairly formidable defense prior to this season. But this can go into the category of a brand new regime came into place, and the only player that they really seem to care about is Justin Fields. This year has been a very big year for Justin Fields, and honestly, this is kind of weird. Out of every QB in the 2021 NFL draft class, which was supposed to be very hyped up, Justin Fields, although he got to a slow start, is starting to show the greatest evolution in his game. A player that was formerly written off as an NFL draft bust is starting to come more and more into his own. So I understand doing whatever you possibly can so you could set up the Chicago Bears to be in the same position that the Miami Dolphins were in this past offseason and the Philadelphia Eagles were in this past offseason. You want to make sure you have as much cap space as humanly possible and as many assets as humanly possible so you can ensure in the offseason you could build the best team possible around Justin Fields while he's still on a rookie scale contract to really determine whether or not this QB is going to be your franchise quarterback. So with that being said, don't get me wrong, the Chicago Bears are really set up to build a squad around Justin Fields in the future. I mean, they are set to have over $100 million in cap space, and in terms of draft picks next year, they have a 1st, 2 seconds, a 3rd, 2 4ths, 2 5ths, and a 7th. And historically, if you just look at how teams are building around their young QBs, Josh Allen took a huge leap in year 3 when he got Stephon Diggs. Even though they essentially traded Justin Jefferson for him, it still played a huge role in his development. Jalen Hurts immediately became a MVP candidate in year 3 when he got AJ Brown, and Tua made a huge leap in year 3 when he got Tyreek Hill. These are all teams that already invested draft capital in wide receivers. I mean, I guess save for the Buffalo Bills, but the Eagles drafted Devontae Smith the year before, and the Miami Dolphins drafted Jalen Waddle in the same exact draft. But it's a great experiment, in my opinion, when you have a player that you're trying to test out to see whether or not he is your franchise QB, and he's on a rookie scale contract. You need to go all in on building as prolific of an offense as you possibly can in order to see whether or not he truly is the guy. And based upon what I've seen from Justin Fields so far, this man was set up for failure. I was expecting everyone to write him off as a draft bust after this year because the Chicago Bears literally put like nobody around him. Allen Robinson left, Darnell Mooney was probably the best weapon he had left, and Cole Kmet is spotty to say the least. So I was expecting everyone to look at Justin Fields and immediately say, well, he is clearly a draft bust despite him having no weapons around him and the fact that there's a brand new front office that would probably be trigger happy to move on from him. But based upon what I've seen from him, despite the lack of weapons in his arsenal, Justin Fields might be the real deal. So having this amount of cap space to invest in him in this offseason is going to be huge for the Chicago Bears, which appears to be the direction that they're taking. Despite this, I will be honest, I felt like Roquan Smith was worth more than a second and a fifth, to be honest. I feel like a player that is leading the NFL in tackles at the age of 25 should have at least gained you a first-round pick. So the fact that that didn't happen is a little disappointing, to say the least. I feel like the Chicago Bears kind of sold their talent for way less than they could have, except for Robert Quinn. I felt like that was a fair deal, but I feel like they should have gotten more for Khalil Mack. I feel like they should have gotten more for Roquan Smith. I feel like Roquan Smith's value should have been higher than Khalil Mack's. But at the end of the day, a second round pick is still a remarkable asset to have. So I understand the direction of the Chicago Bears in this trade, but I can't give them an A because I feel like either extending Roquan Smith would have been the smart move here, or trading him for first round picks would have been the smart move here. So for that, I'm going to give them a C+, while I give the Baltimore Ravens an A. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this trade. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.